Hey there, action movie fans! Welcome back to our channel. Today we've got a special treat for you. We're diving headfirst into the electrifying world of Equalizer 3. The movie starts with a man named Lorenzo Vitale driving to a remote winery in Sicily. He tells his young son to wait in the car, arms himself, and goes inside. He sees a lot of bad things happening inside the building and eventually makes it to the basement, where he finds two of his security guards holding a guy named Robert McCall at gunpoint. Lorenzo asked Robert why he was there, and Robert explained that he had come to retrieve something that didn't belong to him. Lorenzo was impressed that Robert had managed to find him, but he warned Robert that he wouldn't leave the winery alive. In response, Robert challenged Lorenzo's safety, and within the next 9 seconds, he quickly defeated all of Lorenzo's guards using one of their weapons. Lorenzo, now on the ground, attempted to crawl away, but Robert grabbed a shotgun and killed him. He then took a key from Lorenzo's belt and left the building. Robert pointed his gun at Lorenzo's son, but he chose to spare the boy and continued on his way. But when Robert turned around to respond, the young man unexpectedly fired a shot. Startled, the boy dropped his weapon and ran away. Robert realized he had been shot in the back. He eventually lost consciousness and was discovered by a local police officer named Gio Benucci in Altamonte, a beautiful coastal town. Gio took Robert to a local doctor named Enzo, who helped patch up his wounds. Enzo took good care of Robert during his recovery. And by the 3rd day, Robert was able to walk with a cane well enough to explore the town. At a local cafe, the owner and waitress, Amina, served him their finest coffee, despite him originally ordering tea. She was convinced he'd prefer their coffee. Later, Gio, the local police officer, arrived at the cafe during his usual visit with his daughter, Gabby. Gio assured Robert that he was surrounded by good people. He then handed over the keys to his car, mentioning that he hadn't checked Robert's bags yet. Back at Enzo's place, Robert makes an anonymous call to the CIA's Financial Operations Group and speaks with Agent Collins. He reports the discovery of a peculiar winery in Sicily that seems to be importing wine from Syria. Over the next few days, Robert gets to know the locals and various business owners in the marketplace. He also observes that a gang is extorting money from store owners, demanding regular payments and threatening everyone. One day, while passing by, he witnesses the gang extorting money from store owners and overhears Angelo getting beaten up by Marco. Robert watches as the gang leaves the store after warning Angelo about returning the money. He sees them leave the store after yet another threat from Marco, who promises to come back next week to collect the money. The next day, as a favor to Enzo, Robert visits Angelo's store. The kind-hearted Angelo refuses payment from Robert, stating that it is an honor to have Enzo's friend visit his shop for the first time. Meanwhile, following Robert's tip-off, a team of CIA agents, including Emma, discovers not only illegal narcotics, but also millions in cash at the winery in Sicily. These activities were not initially on their radar, so Emma and her colleague Frank decided to continue searching for any information they could find. One day, after checking Robert's wounds, Enzo reassures him that not being sure if someone is a good person is a sign of being a good person. He explains that this is why neither he nor Gio officially reported Robert's accident when they found and treated him. Later, Vincent, Marco's brother, reminds Marco of their grand plans to commercialize the town of Altamonte with new resorts and casinos. They intend to set up a showcase for the rest of the town. Robert packs his things and is ready to leave. As he goes outside, he notices that the people are in commotion. They are surprised to see that Angelo's shop is on fire, and Robert sees the gang watching from a distance. He later helps Angelo clean up the mess. Meanwhile, Gio looks into the recording from the fire and officially lodges an inquiry about the van that was seen outside Angelo's shop. As time passes, Robert becomes a part of the local community as he gets to know more of them. On one routine day when Robert is peacefully having tea at Amina's cafe, he notices Emma there secretly taking pictures of him on her phone. Emma tried to interrogate Robert about why he had such precise information regarding the winery's real business, but Robert gave vague answers. She instructed him to stay close and left while saying his name. Meanwhile, when Gio went to pick up his daughter Gabby from school that day, he received a strange call informing him that her school had ended a bit earlier than the other kids. When he asked her teacher, he learned that an officer had picked up Gabby just a while ago. Gio rushed home to find his wife and daughter held captive by Marco and his men. This was in retaliation for Gio's inquiry into their van. Marco attacked him while his family was made to watch, and they threatened to harm his family if Gio interfered in their business again before leaving. Robert noticed Gio's bandages as he left Enzo's office. Robert then asked Enzo, and Enzo explained that such incidents were common not only in their town, but also in other places due to criminal organizations like the Camorra. Robert jogged his way to the church where he met Emma. Robert asked her if she believed in miracles, to which she replied that she didn't. She told him that he was not a person of interest in the incident that happened in Sicily. She confirmed that the Sicilian farmer, Lorenzo, had been on Interpol's most wanted list for a decade. Emma asked Robert why he chose her to receive the anonymous tip, but he shifted the conversation, saying that what she should focus on instead was why Sicily was being targeted for these smuggling activities. He promised to find the answer, and Emma expressed her hope to learn the reason for choosing her in their next meeting. That evening, Marco interrupted Gio's family dinner at a restaurant. He informed Gio that he had approached the Somali family to arrange for some of their boats for the gang. When he noticed Robert sitting at a nearby table, Marco warned him to stay out of things that didn't concern him. He expressed his dislike for threats. Robert calmly asked Marco to relocate his group and their activities somewhere else because he had grown fond of Altamonte and its people. When Marco didn't take Robert seriously, Robert applied a pain-compliant strategy that forced Marco to order his men to leave and to hand over his weapon. Marco left, and Robert continued his dinner. Infuriated, Marco started ranting about killing Robert as he reached for his friend's gun, but a van crashed, and Robert swiftly fought off Marco, ultimately ending both of their lives. Their bodies were discovered by the police the following morning. Emma received a call from Frank about the latest station bombing, which revealed that the money from the narcotics was being used for similar terrorist activities. Emma decided to investigate further in Naples to ultimately apprehend the wholesalers of the narcotics. In Naples, Emma sought permission from the chief of police to interview several men, which was granted, except for one, Chief Bella. Emma insisted on interviewing him. After the meeting, Chief Bella suggested to Vincent that he stop all his activities because he believed Emma would soon discover that the Camorra was buying from their enemies for the sake of a profitable business. Vincent didn't take this well. He sliced off the chief's hand and threatened him to focus on finding out who was responsible for Marco's death. His men then escorted the chief to his car. Emma was informed about the attack on Chief Bella, and Robert called to inform her that Camorra was involved, not terrorists. As Emma approached the men waiting to escort her, an explosion occurred, injuring everyone. She was immediately taken to the hospital to treat her injuries. Frank assured her that he would handle the rest of her work. That evening, having taken Gio and his family as leverage, Vincent proclaimed in Altamonte to reveal the person responsible for Marco's death. He shot at Gio's ear and threatened to kill him with the next shot if he wasn't given an honest answer. Just as he was about to threaten Gio's family, Robert shouted at Vincent to reveal himself. Robert offered himself as a target for Vincent's revenge to spare the others, but Vincent chose to kill him in front of the crowd as a warning about the Camorra. Just as Vincent was about to shoot Robert, Enzo retaliated, and everyone began recording the scene with their phones. Vincent was warned that the police were coming, prompting him to flee the scene. Vincent had planned to kill Robert the next day, but Robert sneaked into Vincent's place and killed his guards one by one. A drop of blood awakened Vincent, and he discovered Simon's dead body. Armed with a gun, Vincent quietly navigated and found his men dead. Frightened, Vincent randomly shot everywhere until Robert knocked him down. Vincent woke up tied down as Robert warned him that he had 6 minutes before the drugs stopped his heart. Then, Robert removed his ties. Vincent tried to run away from Robert, but Robert continued to follow him until his last breath. At the hospital, Emma watched the news about the successful operation against Camorra. She was interrupted by Robert, whom she thanked for calling her that day, allowing her to avoid severe injury from the explosion. Robert carried a bag full of cash, and Emma assumed he had stolen it in Sicily. However, Robert explained that it was money owed to Dyer, who lost his pension due to a cyber attack. Emma soon realized that Robert had followed the trail of the attack to the winery in Sicily, where he killed Lorenzo and his men. When Emma left Italy, she went to Boston to deliver the bundle of cash to Dyer and his wife. Relieved at not having to lose their house, the couple thanked Emma and wondered why a stranger would go to such lengths for them. Emma took her leave, saying that she would love to know the reason as well. Back at work at the CIA one day, Emma received a package with her mother's diary and a note from Robert. It was then revealed that Emma was the daughter of Brian and Susan Plummer, Robert's CIA friend. The movie closed with scenes of merriment as the town of Altamonte celebrated their football team's victory, and Robert joined in on the fun as one of the residents.